Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I want to talk about a topic that's a little controversial, but I want to go at it in kind of the most unbiased way that I possibly can, because there is a lot of heat on a lot of different sides on this. And this topic is in particular about how there are many different strategies, many different guides to solve particular content. And in particular, this is going to be focused on Savage tier content or extreme content, kind of like how we have the Ruby Weapon Extreme, or Cinder Drift Extreme is what it's actually called, my apologies. And how we can have different strategies, such as there is something called the rotation phase during that, where there are some people who rotate for melee uptime, and then there's some people who've read a guide that don't rotate. And in particular, for me, when I wrote my guide, I waited a long time to even publish it, because I really wanted to see what is Party Finder groups actually doing. Like, I farmed it so much that I literally got the mount myself, like literally on the screen right now, I'm riding that mount. So it's like, I like to think that I know what I'm doing. It's just like, I don't know if any of the other guide creators ran it even as much as I did before they published it. And judging from the dates of publish, probably not. But I want to say, it's just like, me, I don't make Savage Guide contents. To be honest, I just don't have the time between working full-time as an instructor, between managing to try and launch a website for Final Fantasy XIV that I honestly wanted to launch last month, but obviously have failed, so I'm gonna be doing everything I can to try and launch it for the third cycle of Savage content and the next Extreme Primal. I'm gonna try so darn hard to do that. But because of this, I just don't make Savage guides, and so I like to think that essentially, how to say it, that I'm kind of mostly removed from the situation. Honestly, my Cinder Drift Extreme guide didn't even do that well. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's actually probably one of my least successful videos yet. I'm happy that I made it. I'm glad for the experience. I might try it again in the future and hopefully be a little more successful, but it was undeniably one of my worst videos yet. But looking back, it's just like, I made the guide based on what I saw and what was working for me to the point where I got them out. And I mean, I'm saying that a lot of times, but it's just like, I like to think I actually made that with a lot of awareness, a lot of information from the system. But this comes to the issue. Who is meant to control the information? Is it meant to be Ms. Tech? Is it meant to be Mr. Happy? Who is meant to be the source of all this information? I think that we really need to bring this into question. Who are we deciding is the authority for every single player in this game? Who is the one who is deciding how we're solving every single mechanic? And if you deviate from their strategy, then you are bad. I'm pretty sure that most of you just hearing that are probably like, whoa, wait a second. You're talking about every single player who goes into Party Finder? Yeah. And that's what this is talking about, because when you have different creators, they have different experiences. Me, I'm biased to my own because I lived that, because I farmed that, because I got the mount using that strategy. And so I, of course, think that it's effective because it worked for me. But it may not be the most effective strategy, and in fact, I suggested not rotating explicitly because most of my groups that tried to rotate, they wiped. I'm just gonna be honest. They wiped because someone was rotating, someone wasn't rotating, and we tried to do melee uptime, and usually we would have like one melee character, and I mean, of course, you have the 2 tanks, and then we would wipe. And that likewise led to a failed run. We'd disband, there would be salt in the chat, and it was just a lot. It was a lot for just a random farm run. And it was like, wow, I didn't expect that kind of emotion going into this Party Finder, if I'm being honest. And so what I noticed was successful was not rotating because of this. And this could be, if I'm being honest, just me perpetuating a bad play style. Regardless though, I don't think that I think I saw through all of my many runs, like one time the what do you call it, the DPS check, the oh god, what's it called, the name's not coming to me, but basically when your DPS isn't high enough, how the entire raid group wipes. I saw that once. Oh, in rage, sorry, it's just one of those moments. I'm recording this early morning, but it's just, I saw it once, and so it's just like, if we have one melee DPS character, is it going to be the end of the world? The answer's no. Definitely not. Absolutely not. But on the flip side, I know it's suboptimal. anyhow, I'm getting repetitive on that. So my concern, though, is just with the monopolization of information. It's just like, we as a community are made up of many different people. Like, I mean, we have people from all age groups. Well, I don't think that we have anyone, like, I have not met many players below the age of 15, so maybe that's not necessarily true. But we have a significant population of people. I have met people in their 60s and 70s. I have met people in their 40s and 50s, lots in their 30s, some in their 20s, some in their teen years, and we have a huge demographic of people. We have people all the way in Europe, we have people in the United States and Canada, we have people in Australia, we have people in Asia, and it's just, and likewise we have people from all different ideologies, all different genders, all different sexualities, and we have a very diverse population here. And so who is to say who is the particular authority? And for the record, I just said I made a guide. Do I consider myself an expert on that? No. I'm just saying what I personally did, and expert is a word that I'm very hesitant to say. It's just like, even when I make my ultimate guides, people are like, oh haha, you're considering yourself an expert. And expert's a word that I very much hesitate to say, because I went to university for way too many years, and trust me, that's not a bragging point. Trust me, the student loan debt, that's all it means. I was dumb enough to accumulate student loan debt. But what I did learn there was even people with PhDs, like in raw design, in like raw software engineering, just masters of their field, they still didn't call themselves an expert. And so even though I play like machinist, and that's my ultimate guide that I'm working on in the background as I'm trying to get this tank guide out, and work has honestly gone crazy. I might do a vlog style video. I don't think that those videos are really the most beloved videos, but I kind of want to, it's kind of me. This channel is more me than Final Fantasy XIV content. That's why it's like Cole Evyx rather than Final Fantasy Cole or something like that. But anyhow, I digress. I don't consider myself an expert. And to be honest, as soon as people are just like, oh, I'm an expert in this, I'm like, are you? As soon as someone says that, I'm like, did Dunning-Kruger effect take you? Because it's just like, it's really hard to say that you know everything from every single different angle in every single situation. It's really hard. It's just like, okay, even if you've cleared Savage consistently every single week, do you really know every tank nuance? Do you really know every healer nuance? Do you know every range DPS, magic DPS, and physical range DPS different rotation on that boss? And I mean, then it comes to the point of, do you really need all that? But I digress. The main point is that, yes, I do also agree that it is incredibly frustrating when you get into a party finder group and you have different strategies. And then that, because everyone has different strategies, you wipe. It's just like Hades. I farmed the absolute insane garbage out of that fight. It's just like, you saw the Hades mount. Like, I have literally cleared every single extreme primal of this expansion ad nauseum. I have collected all of these mounts, and I would consider myself pretty adept at these fights, pretty well informed. But, and it's a big but, it just comes down to, who are we meant to say is an authority? Do we vote on who's the authority? Like, but then again, that's a selection bias. Who is going to go? Like, not every player goes to the official forums. Not every player goes to Reddit. Not every player goes on to the Balance Discord. So who is meant to be our central source of authority? Is it meant to be the Balance Discord? Is it meant to be Reddit? Is it meant to be the official forums? What if you're banned from the official forums? What if you don't even know that they exist? And that, I have definitely met players who didn't even know it existed. Or is it meant to be the North American community? Or is it meant to be the community in Japan? And that would make sense, because, I mean, where is Square Enix and Yoshi P mainly at? Who's meant to be the central authority? Are we supposed to wait until the official developers release a guide? Well, we have definitely seen that we have sometimes gotten conflicting opinions between the developers and the community in the past. And it's just, who is meant to be the central source of authority? And that's my concern. Is it's just like, sure, we can try our best. Let's say everyone, including myself, try our absolute best, and we're just like, everyone's gonna follow Mistech's guide. And for the record, I love their content. I have been following their content for years, like even way back when they were making like individual dungeon guides. Like, I like their content. I appreciate them as a content creator. And I mean, I've never personally met them. I've never talked to them like in game, in text, or anything. Like, I mean, to be honest, I'm too small of a creator that I don't even think that they know I'd exist. And if they knew I existed, they'd probably just slap me and be like, ew, cancelled. But like, I don't know them, but I can say that I respect their guides, and their guides are good. Their guides are thorough. When I'm looking at Savage content, I look at their guides. But who's to say that every other content creator, regardless if they just started 4 months ago like me, or whether they started 2 years ago, which would be later, at a different later time, who's to say that their content is worthy enough and that we should all go there? And this is my issue. It's just like, even if we did that, is that really the best way to go forward? What about other people's other ideas? What about, let's say, okay, perfect. Let's take Eden 2 Savage from last tier. My group didn't perfectly follow the clock strategy around the boss, and we made a significantly large margin. If you look at any of my E2S footage, you're going to see a significantly large margin around our Black Mage. Why did we do that? So that they had to move less, and so that we could all group in this little corner. Many guides did not suggest that, but we did that. Now if I took that strategy into Party Finder after all the practice that I did with my raid group, okay, now I don't have this corner. Maybe I step into Conal AoE from the boss and then I die. But you see, in my group, that allowed our Black Mage to deal an insanely high amount of damage, and it was highly advantageous to us. So who is right and who is wrong, and should we really be stomping out these alternative strategies? Because yes, it is annoying when people have different strategies in Party Finder, but you generally hope that people are open enough and willing to communicate clearly and not disrespectfully, like communicate respectfully, kind and generously with one another of, oh, okay, this is how you do this. Because you know what, if someone's cleared using an alternative strategy, they've probably seen that mechanic before, and they probably are like, oh, okay, you just want me to stand on the shorter line instead of move? Okay, I understand, thank you, I will do that. And that's just solving the rotation issue around Cinderdrift Extreme. And I like to believe that people are mature enough, that they are kind enough and giving enough, that, you know what, explaining that for like 30 seconds at most, I don't even think it'll take that long, would be okay. And I think that that's a much better precedent to set, where people are understanding and accepting and open-minded. Because I think that this has a lot to be open-minded with strategies. Because it's just like, yes, even my guide, I said don't rotate, but you know, I'm still open-minded enough that if I went back into that content and someone was like, oh, okay, can you rotate? I'd be like, sure, you know what, I respect that. It's not what I would advocate for, it's not what I have done in my guide, it's not what got me the mount, but you know what, I understand, I respect it, and you know what, I will adapt. And I think that that is what kind of it comes down to, is it's just like, there is a lower threshold for a small minority of the population, which I already made a video on, like the quote-unquote toxic minority of some of the players that are very elitist and very snippy, snappy, just and it's just, I think that it's much better to foster an environment of growth, of learning, of acceptance and open-mindedness in strategy than it would be to somehow have some arbitrary source of information just dominate everything. I think that that'd be a lot better, because theoretically what a lot of players are suggesting is that every single content creator, including the official developers, would be cancelled in favor of someone like Mistex videos. And am I saying anything against them? Of course not. No, as I just said, like for like a minute straight back there, I respect them. I've gone to their guides. They're good. I'm not having anything against them, but that's just the person, that's just the creator's name who keeps being brought up when this point is being brought up. And it's just like, should we cancel Mr. Happy? Should we be canceling, heck, even me? I made a Cinderdrift Extreme guide. Should I be cancelled? I'd like to think not. I'd hope not. Please don't cancel me. Please don't cancel me. Please don't cancel me. But it's just like, we need to very seriously take this serious, because it's just like, there are many different perspectives on issues. And that's one of the things. People like to think, or not all people, but like some people like to think in black and white terms and just be like, oh, either you are right or you're wrong. and they just don't accept that there's a big gray area there, that there's a subtle nuance to every issue and every problem that you see. Because you know what? Few things in life are true or false. I mean, you have Booleans in software development, but that's the exception. And even there's a little bit of software silliness, but it's just, the fact of the matter is, it's just like, I'm curious what everyone's thoughts are, because it's just like, you know what, this is an issue, and this is one that is definitely becoming more and more prevalent, that you hear a heck of a lot more in the community, is people being like, oh, I don't want this, or oh, I expect this. And it's just, I'm really curious what everyone else's thoughts are. My own personal thoughts, I think I've kind of come through clearly. It's just like, I don't make Savage Guides. I don't plan to make Savage Guides anytime soon, because that's not the content that I run a lot. It's not for me. I do it with my raid group, and I'm happy to do it. And I mean, I cleared Titan Savage, and sure, look at my FF logs. Like, I clearly cleared Titan Savage with a very good, it was like 88 percentile parse. I'm happy with that. But it's just like, I'm not going to be doing that content because it's just not something I can invest the time into. It's not what I want to do outside of my raid group. And we only raid like maximum 4 hours a week, and even then, due to work concerns and stuff, sometimes it's canceled. So it's just like, it's not what I do. But at the same point in time, it's just like, I think that it's very dangerous precedent to set a monopoly. I very much think it's dangerous, because it's just like, whether it's gaming or any other industry, should one single person or one single set of people be the authority over everything? And my opinion is no. My opinion is that competition is healthy, that having a diverse set of ideas and experiences and perspectives and bringing them all together makes you a more well-rounded person. Because let's say that we have the Cinderdrift Extreme Rotation thing. If you have seen a video on both not rotating and rotating, you can adapt to anything. And honestly, that's probably the easiest example of how you could adapt. But it's just like, that makes you a more well-rounded player. You have seen both ends of it. You now know that mechanic even better, and you're like, hey, okay, sweet, I can go true north for this mechanic, or sure, we can just do that laid out experience for that mechanic. All of it now is valid, and now you know as a player, this is exactly how the mechanic works and all the different ways that I can handle it. And I think that that's probably the best part of this content. It's highly scripted content. We know what's going to happen one after another after another. It's very scripted. And where it actually comes into being interesting is learning it and growing with it and becoming an even better player. And I have noticed the difficulty of a lot of these fights is going up and up over time. And I think that that's the cool thing. We have multiple different ways to solve it, and so you can learn multiple different strategies. Let's say you're really bored, your raid group has been clearing consistently for weeks, and you're bored of running the fight that exact same way. Why don't you try this other strategy? Maybe it'll optimize your DPS even further. Who's to say? But I definitely want to hear what everyone else thinks on this. I think that this is definitely a topic that I really want to read responses on, and any comments are truly appreciated, because it's just like, you know what? I guess that kind of goes into that. It's just like, you know what? I don't think I know everything. I don't think I'm an expert. I'm more than willing to grow and open-minded to other discussions, other ideas, and other opinions. And it's just like, I don't know everything. And I'm not going to tell you I know everything. In fact, I am now, I guess, officially posting on my YouTube channel, I don't know everything. I don't, there's nothing wrong with saying that, because, you know what, that's the truth. And I'd rather say that than have Dunning-Kruger walk into my room and be like, ha! But it's just like, yeah. So anyhow, I leave your comments of what your thoughts are on this issue down in the comment section down below. I'm actually genuinely curious. And I guess with that, I'm going to end this video. Any likes, comments, and subscribes are incredibly super appreciated. And I'm just trying to make my ultimate content rather than just make a video being like, haha, I passed 1K subs. But honestly, believe me, I've seen the number and I'm super excited, and I'm thinking about how to celebrate. But I want to just focus on making the content that you guys like for you, rather than like a back pat video, like patting myself on the back. So anyhow, take care and have a good one, and wish me luck on making the tank guide on cooldowns and machinist video. Anyhow, take care and have a great one. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it.